I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. Oh my goodness.
Nobody woke up expecting DNA results to start trending like a surprise album drop. But here we are. 1 minute the internet was arguing about something completely unrelated. And the next minute Karlissa allegedly hit the timeline with what she called receipts, not screenshots, not vibes, not speculation. DNA and the internet froze like someone just unplugged the WI-V. Because when the word DNA enters a celebrity family feud, this stops being gossip and starts feeling like a courtroom with memes. And the wildest part, Blueface didn't wait. He didn't sit back. He didn't let the narrative marinate. He responded fast, almost too fast, like someone who knew this moment was coming. This isn't just about Baby Jr. This is about control. About who gets to tell the story first, about receipts versus reactions, and about what happens when family drama goes public before anyone can lawyer up or clean it up. The timeline immediately split into chaos. Half the internet screamed exposed, the other half screamed cap, and everyone else grabbed popcorn like this was a Netflix premiere nobody advertised. Because when alleged DNA receipts hit the internet without warning, it doesn't just shock fans, it detonates trust, and once trust explodes, everybody starts picking sides, whether they understand the science or not. This story didn't start with DNA results. It started with tension that never fully went away, the kind of tension that sits quietly in the background of family drama, waiting for the right moment to explode. Baby Jr.'s name has floated through the internet for years, always surrounded by questions, side-eyes, and carefully worded comments that never quite crossed the line into full accusation. Everybody hinted, nobody confirmed, and that silence became its own form of fuel. So when Karlissa allegedly stepped forward and dropped what she described as DNA receipts, it didn't land like a normal celebrity rumor. It landed like a warning shot. Because DNA isn't gossip. It's not a shady screenshot or a misunderstood quote. DNA is the nuclear option of family drama. Once you invoke it, you're not just talking about feelings anymore. You're talking about identity, truth, and consequences that can't be undone with the delete button. The way it happened made everything worse. There was no slow build, no careful explanation, no soft entry into the conversation. It hit the timeline abruptly, like someone kicking open a door mid-argument and yelling, "I've got proof." And immediately, the internet did what it always does when it senses blood in the water. It rushed in without waiting for context. People weren't even asking if the claims were verified yet. They were asking who knew, who lied, and who was about to be exposed next. Screenshots started circulating at lightning speed. Posts were dissected. Words were zoomed in on. Dates were questioned. Suddenly, everyone was a forensic analyst with Wi-Fi and an opinion. Karlissa's move felt calculated, whether intentional or not. Claiming receipts publicly forces a reaction. It corners the people involved. Silence becomes suspicious. Delay becomes guilt. And the moment those alleged DNA claims went public, the pressure flipped instantly. The narrative wasn't floating anymore. It was demanding answers. That's why Blueface's response became the second explosion. He didn't wait days. He didn't let the internet build a version of the story without him. He responded fast, and speed, in situations like this, is interpreted into very different ways to supporters. It looked like confidence. To critics, it looked like damage. Control. The internet couldn't decide which, but it agreed on one thing. This response mattered. What made the situation even more volatile was how quickly the past was dragged into the present. Old interviews resurfaced. Old lives were clipped. Random comments that once felt insignificant suddenly became evidence. The timeline turned into a conspiracy board, with people connecting dots that may or may not have ever belonged together. And the irony was thick. The same internet that constantly preaches privacy suddenly demanded full transparency. The same people who complain about oversharing dissected every detail like it was a courtroom exhibit. Because outrage doesn't care about consistency, it cares about momentum. The tension wasn't just between Karlissa and Blueface anymore. It spread outward, pulling in family members, exes, and anyone who'd ever spoken on Baby Junior's situation. Everybody got drafted into the discourse whether they wanted to be or not. And once that happens, control disappears completely. What made this feel darker than usual was the subject matter. DNA claims don't just challenge someone's narrative. They challenge someone's existence. They question legitimacy in a way that sticks long after the headlines fade. And when those questions are thrown into the public arena, they don't stay clinical or factual. They turn emotional fast. Critics accused Karlissa of clout chasing, saying this was a move designed to dominate the timeline rather than protect a child. Supporters framed her as brave, claiming she was finally saying what others were afraid to say. Neutral observers questioned why any of this needed to be public in the first place. But neutrality doesn't survive long online. Everyone eventually gets pushed into a side. Blueface's response only added layers to the chaos. His wording was analyzed, his tone was debated, his timing was scrutinized. Some people heard denial, others heard deflection. A few claimed they heard confidence bordering on arrogance, and the more interpretations circulated, the further the story drifted from clarity. The real scandal wasn't just the alleged DNA receipts. It was the speed at which everything escalated. There was no pause for verification, no moment for facts to settle. Just reaction stacked on reaction until the original claim almost became secondary to the chaos it created. And then came the most uncomfortable question of all. Why now? Why release alleged proof at this moment instead of handling it privately? Why respond immediately instead of letting the claims burn out? Timing in celebrity drama is never accidental, and the internet knows it. Theories exploded overnight. Some claimed this was retaliation. Others said it was preemptive. A few suggested it was about control, not truth. As the speculation grew, one thing became clear. This wasn't going to resolve quickly. DNA claims don't disappear. They linger, they get revisited, they resurface every time a new detail emerges. And once they're public, they become part of the narrative forever. By the end of this phase, the internet wasn't even arguing about biology anymore. It was arguing about motive, about intent, about who had the right to speak and who should have stayed silent. The facts were still unclear, but the damage was already done, because when alleged DNA receipts hit the timeline, the conversation stops being about answers and starts being about fallout. And this fallout was just getting started. The tension hung heavy, unresolved, as fans waited for the next move, the next response, the next leak, because one thing was obvious now. Once the alleged DNA bombshell hit, the internet didn't just react, it detonated. Timelines turned into war rooms overnight, with everyone suddenly fluent in genetics, family law, and celebrity psychology, despite barely passing biology in high school. The discourse moved faster than facts ever could. And in that speed, the story mutated. What started as a claim became a spectacle. What looked like receipts turned into a referendum on loyalty, truth, and who controls the narrative when family drama goes fully public. Memes arrived first. Because humor is the internet's coping mechanism, some treated the situation like a reality show crossover episode nobody asked for, comparing it to a plot twist so messy it made daytime talk shows look subtle. Others leaned darker, framing the situation like a courtroom drama filmed entirely on Instagram stories. The punchlines were reckless, the captions were ruthless, and the context was optional. Celebrity reactions didn't help calm anything down. A few public figures liked posts they probably shouldn't have. Others dropped vague comments that fueled speculation without committing to a side. The classic praying for the child posts appeared, which somehow managed to say everything and nothing at the same time. Even silence was interpreted as a statement, because online neutrality is suspicious. Blueface's fast response stayed under a microscope. Every word was replayed, slowed down, and analyzed like hidden lyrics in a diss track. Supporters claimed his speech showed confidence. Like someone who wasn't worried about what the receipts would show, critics argued the opposite, saying fast. Responses often mean panic, not preparation. The internet split itself cleanly in half and then fought both sides at once. What escalated things further was how quickly unrelated moments got dragged into the narrative. Old interviews resurfaced. Random comments from years ago suddenly became foreshadowing. Even jokes that once felt harmless were reframed as evidence. The timeline became a collage of half memories stitched together by outrage. And here's where it got truly absurd. People who had never met anyone involved began assigning motives with absolute certainty. Karlissa was either a truth-teller risking backlash or a calculated instigator chasing relevance. Blueface was either defending himself confidently or scrambling to control damage. There was no middle ground. The internet doesn't do nuance when adrenaline is high. Public outrage reached peak volume when the conversation shifted from alleged DNA to morality. Was it right to air this publicly? Who benefits when family disputes become content? And why does the internet feel entitled to answers about a child's identity? These questions were asked loudly, rarely answered, and quickly drowned out by fresh speculation. The memes evolved again, turning more analytical. People broke down screenshots like financial documents, circling dates, highlighting phrases. Zooming in on timestamps, reaction channels popped up overnight, pretending to be investigative while feeding the same speculation they claimed to critique. The algorithm rewarded every angle, every hot take, every half-informed opinion. Meanwhile, both sides faced growing pressure. Karlissa supporters demanded validation. Critics demanded verification. Blueface supporters demanded respect. Opponents demanded accountability. Everyone demanded something, and no one agreed on what would satisfy them. That's when it became clear this wasn't about resolution anymore. It was about control. The most uncomfortable moment came when people realized this wasn't going to end cleanly. DNA claims don't fade quietly. Even if clarified, denied, or disproven, the implication lingers. It becomes a footnote that gets dragged out whenever the name trends again. And the internet thrives on footnotes. As the outrage peaked, a strange shift happened. Some viewers started expressing fatigue, not boredom, fatigue. The kind that comes from watching serious allegations get turned into entertainment. A few voices questioned why this was unfolding online at all. Those voices were quickly drowned out, but they cracked the surface of a deeper discomfort. The conversation wasn't flowing, it was mutating. From biology to motive, from receipts to responsibility, from truth to timing. Why now? Why publicly? Why this moment? Theories multiplied, each one louder and more confident than the last. By the end of this phase, the story had outgrown the original claim. It wasn't just about alleged DNA anymore. It was about reputation, credibility, and the long shadow that public allegations cast. The damage wasn't theoretical. It was happening in real time. And hanging over everything was a realization nobody wanted to confront yet, even if the truth eventually surfaces. The internet will already have written its own ending, because once speculation becomes entertainment, facts arrived late to a party that already trashed the house. By the time the internet's volume finally dipped from a roar to a constant hum, the damage had already been done. Not the kind you can measure with screenshots or trending charts, but the kind that sticks to names long after the timeline moves on. Because once alleged DNA claims go public, they don't disappear. They attach themselves to reputations like permanent footnotes, waiting to be dragged back out the next time anyone involved trends for any reason at all. The immediate aftermath wasn't resolution. It was residue. Confusion lingered. Comment sections stayed split, and every new post from anyone connected to the situation was read like a coded message. Innocent captions suddenly felt suspicious. Silence felt strategic. And statements, when they came, were accused of being too late or too calculated. For Karlissa, the consequences were sharp and polarized. Supporters doubled down, framing her as someone willing to take heat to tell the truth. regardless. A backlash. Critics accused her of weaponizing sensitive information for attention, questioning motive more than content, and once motive becomes the focus, facts take a back seat. Because the internet doesn't debate evidence nearly as passionately as it debates intention, Blueface felt a different kind of pressure. His fast response, once praised by some as confident, became a permanent reference point for critics. Every future comment, every post, every move was compared back to this moment. Did he respond this fast before? Why now? Why this tone? The narrative followed him like a shadow, regardless of what he said next. What made this fallout particularly messy was the presence of a child at the center of it. That detail shifted the energy from pure drama to moral discomfort. Some viewers started questioning their own participation. Others ignored the discomfort entirely and leaned harder into speculation. Because outrage is addictive and discomfort is easy to scroll past. Public perception fractured even further. Neutrality evaporated. People felt pressured to choose sides even without full information. And once sides are chosen online, reversing course feels like losing. So instead of waiting for clarity, people defended their positions louder. The reputational impact extended beyond the main players. Anyone loosely associated found themselves dragged into the narrative. Old alliances were questioned. Past statements were reinterpreted. Even unrelated achievements were overshadowed by association. That's the hidden cost of public allegations. They don't stay contained. They ripple outward, touching everything in range. As days passed, a strange normalization set in. The shock wore off. But the story didn't disappear. It became background. Noise referenced casually, joked about quietly, reintroduced whenever convenient. That's often worse than outrage. Because normalization turns serious claims into cultural shorthand, the most sobering realization came when people acknowledged something uncomfortable, even if definitive answers eventually surface. They won't undo the speculation. The internet doesn't rewind, it archives. And archives don't care about nuance. They preserve moments exactly as they happen, chaotic, incomplete, and emotionally charged. This situation also exposed how fragile credibility is online. One post can shift perception instantly. One allegation can outweigh years of context. And once doubt is introduced, certainty becomes nearly impossible to restore. That reality hung heavy over everyone involved. What comes next remains unclear. There may be clarifications, there may be private resolutions, there may be silence, but whatever the outcome, this moment has already reshaped how each name is discussed moving forward. Not dramatically, subtly, and subtle shifts are the hardest to reverse. The biggest consequence isn't who the internet believes today. It's how quickly belief becomes conviction without confirmation, how fast audiences turn serious allegations into entertainment, and how easily lines blur when fame, family, and speculation collide. This chapter didn't deliver closure. It delivered a reminder. Once a private matter becomes public spectacle, control is lost. The narrative belongs to everyone and no one at the same time. And no response, no matter how fast or measured, can fully reclaim it. As the story fades from trending lists, it doesn't end, it waits for the next mention, the next argument, the next moment someone brings it back up and reopens the conversation. Like it never closed, because that's how internet scandals work. They don't resolve, they linger, and long after the comments slow and the memes stop circulating, the question that started it all remains suspended in the background, unanswered, uncomfortable, and impossible to ignore. Now let's be honest. If this story had you glued to the screen, refreshing comments and side-eyeing every response, you're not alone, because when alleged DNA receipts hit the timeline, it stops being casual drama and turns into a full-blown spectacle. The internet doesn't pause for facts, it rushes straight to conclusions, and everyone suddenly becomes a judge, a jury, and a genetic expert all at once. So don't act surprised. You watched, you reacted, and you definitely formed an opinion, even if you won't admit it out loud. That's exactly why stories like this explode the way they do. Now smash that like button like it owes you money and just tried to ghost you. Drop a comment and say what everyone's thinking. Do you believe the receipts? Or do you think this whole situation spiraled way past what it should have been? Pick a side or explain why you refuse to. Either way, the comment section is where the real chaos lives. If you're not subscribed yet, you're missing the point. This channel doesn't wait for clean statements or polished press releases. We break down celebrity scandals while they're still messy, emotional, and unfolding in real time. No filters, no PR spin. Just the raw fallout, and trust me, this story isn't done. Internet controversies don't disappear. They resurface when you least expect them to. One new post, one old clip, one careless comment, and the whole thing detonates all over again. When it does, we'll be right here calling it exactly how it looks. So hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay locked in. Because in the world of fame, nothing stays private for long. And remember, the internet never forgets, but it always pretends it's the first time. Fame flaws. Fame flaws.